Now we're going to add a map view which allows us to access Google Maps. So what we're going to do is bring up our normal Xcode. We'll start with our create new project. It's going to be a single view. We'll just call this one map, and again make sure you've got Swift selected and for the iPhone. Go next. We'll just create the desktop. And we'll not worry about that. We'll go straight to our storyboard. And we're not going to have our first view controller as the map. We're going to have it as our second, because that allows us to copy and paste it into other ones. But we'll need a button to do our normal, double click on it before we can drop our button in. Our forwards and backwards between the two. Option, sorry, we want to do control, drag to create our segue, we'll show, and we'll stick another button here for back. But before we do that, actually, we're going to stick in our map view kit. Now this will allow us to display our Google Maps, and it'll give us all the normal attributes that Google Maps has. Again, you can adjust to the size. I've left the top a little bit blank because I want to have a back button back to the screen we had before. So I'll just, if I can select it again, that's just not letting me. Let me double click there. That's what I want. We'll call that one back, and we will control drag from there back, and that will be a show. Now we'll just quickly run it. We'll check that it loads okay and we can segue between those two. Then we're going to start adding a little bit of code which will help us add in our map view. Now what's happened so far is that it's tried to access the map view and we haven't added in some very important pieces. So what we need to do is we of course need to add in a new file which will be our view controller. This one will be map view controller, and we'll go next and create, and of course we need to link them if you remember how to do that. So we'll split our screens, we'll bring back our storyboard, we need to click on our map view controller, we need to add that so it actually links to our map view controller. Now we've got our map view controller up, we need to add a few very important bits of information. Because it's accessing the maps, Google Maps, we need to import some more information. So the first thing we do is import, it's called MapKit, and that allows us access to a whole variety of Google Map type features, and we need to create an instance of our map view which we've added in. So again, that's a control drag, and this one's just an outlet, and we'll call it my map. That is our map view. Now whenever we're doing a map, we need to actually specify what we want to show. If we just run that now, we'll see if it crashes again. So it loads, we click it, it's not going to crash this time, it's just going to give a generic place on our Google Maps. And you can pan around there like you would with any particular Google Maps. With the simulator, we can actually practice using the pinch by holding down the Option key, and you can pinch it like you would any other map, and it will zoom in like any Google Maps. So that's a good way to test your maps working. The Option allows you to try pinch maneuvers on it. So that's working, but the problem is it's just showing the whole area. We obviously generally want to show a particular area of our map, so I'm going to show you how to code that now. Okay, so to load Google Maps into our app, we need to give it a certain amount of information. First of all, we have to tell it the location of our Google Map, so that's going to be a longitude and a latitude, and we also have to tell the map how zoomed it in it's going to be, whether it's looking at a whole continent or just a couple of streets. So we have to give it 4 variables: a longitude, a latitude, an X zoom, and a Y zoom. So we'll set those up and then we'll build our map. In the View Did Load section, we're going to add a few things. We first of all need to we're going to create a variable latitude, and this is going to be of a CL location degrees. So you can see there, CL location degrees, and we're going to make it equal to, this is going to be for Tasmania, negative 42 degrees, and we'll make it for Hobart, we'll give it 88. And we'll go let longitude, again this is another variable that we're creating, it also has to be of CL location degrees, and we're going to set that one to 147.23. Now if you're not sure how to get that information, you can just do that from Google Maps and right click and say where is, and that will give you the degrees, longitude and latitude for any location. So we'll bring up Google Maps, and let's say we wanted to do Hobart, Tasmania. So this is our Google map of Hobart. If we right click and go what's here, it'll tell us what's there, but it'll also give us the longitude and latitude, which we can use to put into our Google Maps. So you can go to any place on Google Maps, right click, click what's here, and that will give you the precise longitude and latitude. So back to Xcode. We've now got our longitude and latitude. We also need a few more bits and pieces before we can display it on our map. We're going to create another variable, which is let lat, I'm going to call this lat zoom, and this one is a CL, again location degrees, and we're going to set this to, in this case, 0.05, and I'll get you to play around with these later to see the difference that makes. And then we're going to make another one, let long zoom, again CL location degrees, and we'll make that the same. Now what these do is tells you how far you need to zoom in on the map. So you could have it centered on Hobart and be showing all of Australia at the same time, or you could be zoomed in on one block. This allows you to adjust how zoomed in your map is. Okay, so we've declared our variables. Now we need to combine these variables in a way that Google Maps understands. So we're going to make 2 more, in fact 3 more variables. The first one is called, we're just going to make this one called span. And this is basically telling Google Maps how big, how zoomed in our whole span needs to be. That's going to be of type MK coordinate span. It's going to be equal, so I'm going to put it onto a single page so you can see where we are. So MK coordinate span is going to be equal to MK coordinate span make. And this is where we send our zoom. So we're going to send our lat zoom, which is our variable we created before, and we're going to send our long zoom, which is our other variable, and this just combines them in a variable called span, which kind of says this is how wide and high our map needs to be. We're going to make another variable which we'll call location, and this one's going to be a CL location coordinate 2D, and it's going to be equal to CL location coordinate 2D make, which creates one, and we're going to send our latitude, which we declared earlier, and the longitude, which we also declared earlier, and that's going to be our location. The next variable is going to combine the two of those, and we're going to call it region. So we're declaring a variable called region, and it's going to be MK coordinate region equals, and just as you probably guessed it, MK coordinate region make, and this one we send a location and a span to. So we send both the longitude and latitude combined in our location and the zooms of our longitude and latitude combined. So we're going to put those in. So the first one we send through is our location, and then the second one is our span. Now that's the variables that we have created. Now we can actually set those in our map. Now remember, we declared a map up here and we called it my map. That's the thing we're going to adjust now. So my map dot set region, and we're going to send it the region we just created, which we'll call region, and we're going to animate, well, true, so it'll be animated, and that should allow us to zoom in and display a particular area of our map. Let's run it and see if it works. So here we are, we click our button, our map starts to load, and there we are. There's Hobart, it's all loaded in, and that seems to be working fine. What I want you to do as part of the next challenge is to adjust the zooms, the location, and just see how that varies the map that we see.